This is the most shocking situation in Wanzai County, Jiangxi province. The most outrageous criminal case. A 16-year-old evil god in broad daylight, breaking into the home of a 12-year-old girl and assaulting her. Parallel system. Then he angered the grandmother next door 12 times. Died on the spot. Don't see the end. You can't imagine. How sick is this little beast? Here comes the case that shattered your 3 views. Time October 14, 2012. Location: Wanzai County, Yichun City, Jiangxi Province. It's after 3 p.m. today. Wanzai police received a report from the public. A little girl from a family in Jiutan town was violated. And count 2. After receiving the alarm, the police arrived at the scene of the crime. The police found a dark cabin. A little girl lay dying in bed, covered in blood. The crime scene is appalling. Belly? It came out of the intestine of the knife. And waist heel. Even the chest book is different. I deleted it. It is understood that the name of the murdered girl is Xiaomi. I just turned 12 this year. Still a primary school student. Which crazy devil is it? In broad daylight, to kill such a young girl. Then the police quickly escorted Xiaoman, sent to Wanzai Hospital for rescue. However, just as the police were preparing for the exhibition on Xiaoman's murder, when conducting an investigation, suddenly received another plan. The informant is the husband of the deceased. According to him, it was after 4 p.m. that day. He just came back from the ground. I saw that my door was full of people eating melons. Suddenly, an ominous premonition came to him inexplicably. So it's not good to rush back. Something big happened. Extend the dragon and phoenix lotus out of the tree. Knife early. Fell in blood. Long gone. The victim's name is Long Finglian. I am 76 years old. The forensic investigation found that the head and neck of the dragon and phoenix lotus were firewood used by the murderer. Knife number. The scene was a mess. Blood splattered all over the house. Dragon and phoenix lotus caused by heavy bleeding. Shock death. Police found this homicide in the same courtyard as the murder of Xiaoman, just a wall apart. Although the murder weapon in the 2 cases is different, but at the same time, in the same courtyard. Or is there some necessary connection between them? According to Min's brother, the day of the crime happened to be a weekend. He and Min's sister had to help their parents work in the fields. Only my sister Xiaoman was left at home alone. I saw it after 4 p.m. They're going home to cook for Min. But they just got home. Suddenly, I heard a cry for help from my sister's room. When they arrived at the room, almost scared the 2 of them out of their minds. I saw a man talking to his sister in bed. Sister violates, although Min fought back. The man sees things exposed. Angrily, he picked up the fruit knife by his side. Crazy stabbed Xiaoman. Brothers and sisters who were scared to death run downstairs, picked up the stick and rushed over, ready to hit this man. But when I first ran upstairs, the assailant has already fled the scene. However, what surprised the siblings was that this narrow staircase is the only way for the murderer to escape. If the murderer wants to leave the crime scene, they will definitely meet the murderer on the rooftop. But when they called the neighbors for help, it was found that the murderer had mysteriously disappeared. What is the murderer? Disappeared at the crime scene. As the investigation deepens, police found it on the roof. The 2 crime scenes are interconnected. Through this robber, you can climb in from the ladder on the wall of Long Finglian's house, the scene of the murder of the deceased Long Finglian. There are signs of intense fighting. From this, the police deduce that the murderer was found by Long Finglian after stabbing Min. Therefore, he stepped up to stop the gangsters from saving him. I didn't expect to be murdered at such an age. Even the grandson of the old man, Feng Zukai, is doing it. The text expresses condolences to grandma and hatred of the murderer. The man is on the run. My grandmother saw me. So the strange man, when I saw my grandmother screaming for help, there is a new intention to kill and silence. Killed my kind grandmother. Is this what people should do? This is worse than a beast. Just a naked beast. Strangely, the murderer was extremely familiar with the construction of the house. The escape route is particularly clear. So is it possible that real-world friends committed the crime? Seeing the sadness of the 2 victims, my little case solver. Urgency is well known. The police immediately established a task force, combined investigation of the 2 cases, voluntary overtime, strive to solve the case as soon as possible. At the scene of Long Finglian's murder, the police discovered, from the center site on the 2nd floor, all the way to the ground floor, scattered drips of blood. The bloodstain extends all the way to the gate on the first floor. It's been identified by DNA. The bloodstains are not from Xiaoman and Long Finglian. Apparently this must have been left behind by the murderer when he committed the crime. Task Force judgment. The number of cases. It's a rape homicide. The murder was committed by a single man. The two cases were jointly investigated. Min's brother and sister were eyewitnesses. Due to the soul of gain and loss at that time. So the description of the murderer by the two, there is a huge difference. One said 18 years old, one said 30 years old, the other said 1.6 meters. One said it was 1.7 meters, and the other said it was fat. One said skinny. So here's the problem. This old house belongs to the deceased Long Finglian. The Xiaomi family also moved from the countryside a few years ago, moved to Jiangxi town, rent a courtyard in the old lady's house. If the killer was a nearby real-world friend, the two witnesses must be recognized at a glance, but they all said they didn't know the killer. In addition, the police also found a murderer at the scene. Barefoot footprints. The footprint length is about 23.5 centimeters. 37 yards police analysis. The murderer is about 1.6 meters tall. Thin. Age around 25 years old. Short hair with local accent. Very familiar on sight. Most likely a native of Jiangxi town. So the police divided the money, focusing on the crime scene. Screen eligible men one by one, especially with a criminal record, but in the end they were all expelled. Considering the murderer was injured, then he might go to the hospital, or the pharmacy has bandaged it. Therefore, the police immediately responded to Wanzai. All hospitals and small clinics in the county, even the Jiangxi all doctor has touched the cards. But days went by without a breakthrough. Who is this Ethan Head? It can be hidden so deeply. Soon more than a month passed. The case went nowhere. During this period, Feng Zukai wrote another composition to vent his anger. How dark the world is. And now my grandmother is lying unburied in a hotel room because my grandmother was dying from now on, and it became something that I just couldn't get out of my head. The good news is, the victim Xiaomi also recovered, but after encountering such a nightmare, I often cry silently, non-talkative. Maybe it will be difficult to heal in this life. To solve the case as soon as possible, give the local people an explanation. The police repeatedly studied. Crime police are dying in a broad sense. Finally, he set his sights on the murderer's blood. Decided on the crime scene. The blood sample left by the murderer is bent for chromosomal testing. The male chromosome is composed of an X-Y chromosome composition. The Y chromosome is unchanged. Your father inherited it from you. You inherit from your son. Same with cousins. The same grandfather came down. His 2 floors are because of the branches. It will be late, so we... Do you want to do wise building? The combing of this dressing head, this addition. This dressing head combing is very important. That is to say, just extract the Y chromosome from the crime scene. In comparison to Y in all surnames in Jiangxi town, chromosomes can be found. What surname and which branch is the murderer? Jiangxi town is the largest township in Wanzai County. Population 100,000. Through sorting, there are 188 surnames in Jiangxi town. Some of them have only a few family names, and the big surnames are thousands of people. The local police are using a lot of manpower. Physics has been investigating for 3 months. However, family names are ruled out one by one. The more the task force staff investigated, the more confused they became, just as the case was about to reach an impasse. During New Year's Day 2013, when the last surname is found, made a major discovery. And guess what? Exact chromosomes of blood at the scene. The Fang family, where the dragon and phoenix lotus is located, has successfully made the list. The Fang family in the last century moved from this Jianglongyu to Jiangxi town. There are currently only 3 households. Final police confirmation. The Fang Wanzai who wrote the composition for Grandma Abyss. It was the real brother who violated Xiaoman and killed Grandma. January 6, 2013. Wanzai County Police came to Jiangxi Middle School. Successfully captured Feng Zukai. Identified by the victim Xiaoman. It was Feng Zukai who violated him that day. Feng Zu is only 10 years old and 16 years old. In high school. To everyone's surprise, Feng Zukai appeared very calm after being arrested. It didn't show the panic of a teenager at all. Zhang in the following interrogation, no matter how the police ask, remains silent. After hours of grinding battles and the facts of DNA, he confessed to the heinous crime he had committed. Fang Zukai's father Lao Feng who got the truth. Calm. It's hard to accept this fact. He said that since the incident, the son is behaving very normally. He doesn't please them, does he? Eat and go to school. Come back to sleep. Everything is fine. Even facial expressions 1.0. Facial expressions can make a little sad. But I can't see so sad. During this period, the father also suspected his son because Lao Feng found that his son's finger was broken. To test the son did not speak. He even knelt before his mother's body. Cross-examination asked, he can't say no potatoes. I told him to kneel and kneel. I said grandma. I said grandma. He did what I meant. So Fang Zukai's acting skills are superb. Comes with Oscar Best Actor attributes. Not only did he hide the suspicion of his relatives, he also managed to evade the detection of the police. And here's what's even more incredible. After the incident, Fang Zukai even used a sad tone. Write a tribute to grandma. As a condemning the murderer. Could it be that? Is his heart really like this? What kind of person is Fang Zukai? It was learned during subsequent interrogation a few months ago. Introverted. Fang Zhaokai, who is usually not good at speech. Obsessed with online games. It's expensive. And his father rarely gave him pocket money. To get internet bills, he can only steal money from the family often. Soon Lao Feng discovered that his son had stolen money. Even with the corporal punishment of his father, Fang Zukai did not restrain his stealing behavior. Until October 14, 2012, he borrowed his classmate's mobile phone to play during class. I accidentally broke it. The classmate asked him to compensate 300 yuan. He had no money. I thought of going to my grandmother's house to steal a few $100s, but my grandmother has been unable to start at home until 4 p.m. So I sneaked into Xiaomi's house from the roof of my grandmother's house, ready to steal some money. I found that only Xiaomi was at home. Because I often watch bad videos in internet cafes, an evil thought suddenly rises in my heart, and you get this urge. Min was yelling during the assault. In a hurry, he took a fruit knife, cruelly stabbed Xiaomin. After seeing Min's brother and sister, he picked up his clothes naked and ran to the roof. Just as I was about to climb down from the roof, I was touched by my grandmother who was cooking, looking at the naked grandson, and Min's shout. Grandma knew it at a glance. Dragon Phoenix Lotus is ready to pull Fang Zhu. Tsai went to Xiaoman's house to apologize. At this time, Xiaofeng was completely panicked, kneeling and begging Grandma to keep his secret. Long Finglian became even more angry after hearing it. Scolded him, picked up the firewood knife and hit him. I can't accept my own ugly behavior. Fang Zhu seemed to have gone crazy. Totally lost my mind. He snatched the firewood knife from his grandmother's hand. He slashed those closest to him 12 times in a row, until the dragon and Phoenix Lotus completely disappeared. He put down the firewood knife in his hand. Excessive force during the attack. Fang Zukai's left finger was accidentally cut, although the wound is small, but the blood dripping on the ground. But the evidence was forever fixed at the crime scene. After the incident, Fang Zhu lived a normal life every day. Keep going to school online. In front of him, as a family member of the victim, attended Grandma's funeral. I even wrote that heartfelt essay. To cover up their evil deeds, President Fang said that after writing the composition, I feel like I'm just a bystander, not a murderer. It's just words and truth. Just kidding yourself. I was wrong. This time you and I will definitely change it too. Try to come out early. Education is also acceptable. Family education is essential for a child. How important? The physical and mental health of children cannot be ignored. The upper beam is not straight outside the lower beam.